Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah الذي ألف بالإسلام بين قلوب المؤمنين وأوجب الاتحاد وحرم التفرق في كتابه المبين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله هدى من يشاء إلى صراط المستقيم وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد رسول الله خير داع إلى طريق القويم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الذين تحذبت نفوسهم وتحذت قلوبهم فكانوا سادة المنصورين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته. That is, all praise is due to Allah, who has united the hearts of the believer and has made it an obligation to remain united and has made it forbidden to become separated in his clear book. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, who guides to the straight path whom he wills, and I bear witness that our leader Muhammad is his messenger and the best caller to the way that is straight. O Allah, please send your prayers and your peace upon our Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and upon his companions, whose hearts were united and whose souls were educated so that they became victorious leaders. And what follows thereafter, O believers of Allah, I advise you, as well as I advise myself, to first have the proper regard for Allah and thereafter be obedient to him. Dear believers, I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. Now we are talking still about the Army values, and today we are speaking on selfless service. And our prophet that we are going to utilize today, some form of their life, some form of their teachings, is going to be our dear beloved Prophet Muhammad. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. We're going to use our prophet to discuss this notion of selfless service. And we know that in Islam, there is this concept called al-idar, and al-idar means selflessness. And so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at that through the Quran. We're going to also look at that through the life of the Prophet and some teachings from some of the scholars, inshallah. So I want us to begin to talk about the Hijra, the movement of the Muslims 10 years after the Prophet, peace be upon him, received revelation, where he moved to Medina from Mecca. And in this movement from Mecca to Medina, the Prophet, peace be upon him, had to bring his people out of a location that they were familiar with to somewhere that they did not know about. So he led them to this new location. And at this new location, they did not have food, they did not have shelter, they did not have the normal things that one would think of if someone is going to someplace. They didn't have these things set up. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, created an environment to where the people that were in Medina provided for those that were coming from Mecca, even though it may have put them out, even though they may have had to make sacrifices. The people of Medina made those sacrifices for the people of Mecca. And so the Quran mentioned this in Surah Hashr, Ayat 9. It says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. But those who before them had homes in Medina and had adopted the faith show their affection to such as came to them for refuge, and entertain no desire in hearts for things given to the latter, but give them preference over themselves, even though poverty was their own lot. And those saved from covetousness of their own souls, they are the ones who achieve prosperity. So in this verse, the Quran is speaking about the inhabitants of Medina and the homes that they had and the life that they lived, whether it was whether it was a nice life or whether it was a life of destitution or somewhat poverty, they still gave of themselves, gave of what they had. They were selfless in their actions towards those from Mecca, excuse me. And in that, the Quran says that the one that is selfless, the one that thinks of others or put others before themselves, they are the ones who gain prosperity. And it doesn't matter that they may not be of normal means or normal stature. They achieve prosperity in the eyes of their Creator. So when we look at this idea of selfless service, that we're putting ourselves behind the needs of our nation, the needs of our battle buddies, the needs of the people of this great nation, this selfless service. When we look at that, we see that we are the ones that achieve prosperity because we are working towards protecting something that is greater than ourselves, or helping those that may not be able to help themselves. So back to this concept of al-idar. The Prophet, peace be upon him, we know there's this famous narration. There's a famous narration where the Prophet says, none of you will have faith until he wishes for his brother what he likes for himself. Now, this is a beautiful statement. None of you will have faith until he wishes for his brother what he likes for himself. Now, this is a large statement because, one, we're talking about not having faith unless you want something for your brother that you like for yourself. So if I want to be successful in this world, then I should want that for my brother. If I want to have a good home life, I should want that for my brother. If I want to be secure in my own nation, in my own boundaries, then I should want that for my brother. And I won't have faith until those are my aspirations. I won't have faith until those are my endeavors. I'm not working towards that goal. I'm not being selfless in my actions. So al-idar just simply means giving preference to others over yourself and considering their happiness and welfare before your own. And we see that so often in life. We see that with the mother and the child. We see that with the father and his family. We see that with grandparents and sometimes with their grandchildren. We see that even sometimes in our leadership in the military. We sometimes even see that in the lower enlisted towards those leaders in the military or towards the country. Even though they may not have much, they are still sacrificing themselves, their times, their energy, sometimes their well-being for their brothers. They're wishing for their brothers, which they like for themselves. And so when we say that a person is given preference over himself, it means that they preferred this person to himself for the sake of the reward in the hereafter. So you think about those in Medina. They knew that they were going to be having a harder time because they've taken people in and they barely had much for themselves. But their desire was not for a immediate return. Their desire was to do something that was pleasing in the eyes of their Creator. And that's what we have to think about. We have to think about as we go through life that we are doing things, we are sacrificing ourselves, or we're sacrificing what we have for someone else. We want them to have a better situation. So maybe if I'm an outgoing Muslim, maybe I'm not going to create an environment that's going to make it uncomfortable for the other Muslims in my unit. Maybe I'm not going to be the one that's always getting in trouble. Maybe I'm going to be a good example. So when someone meets another Muslim, they'll give them a pass because they'll think they're just like you. But if your example is one that does not make someone feel good about you or your representation of the religion, then you did not want for your brother what you wanted for yourself. You want a calm, peaceful environment that accepts you for who you are. That's what you want. But if you're not presenting yourself in such a way that will achieve those goals, then you're taking that away from someone else. So sometimes we have to be selfless in this regard. Sometimes we have to sacrifice, sometimes saying what we want to say or doing what it is that we want to do, because we know that we have a lot more on our shoulders than the average soldier or the average officer. We have to present ourselves in a different way. So this is still selfless service. This is selfless service to that Muslim that soldier, that leader may meet down the line. Your example, you sacrificing yourself in an environment to show maybe a lower enlisted person, a lower ranking person how to do something. Maybe I don't rush the child line. Maybe I stand back. I'm hungry. I've been in the field all day. I may be a leader, and it may be Ramadan. I may be able to break my fast, but that doesn't mean I have to charge past the lower enlisted to eat. I just need to break my fast. So it's selfless service. It's wishing for your brother or wishing for others what you like for yourself. And none can have faith, as our dear beloved prophet said, until they accomplish this. So brothers and sisters, dear believers, I want us to keep this in mind as we go through life, as we go through our days, as we go through various experiences. Sometimes we have to think of how our mother was selfless. Sometimes we have to think about how our parents may have been selfless, or someone that we looked up to was selfless for us. And a lot of times it's not until we are in the same positions that they are in to truly understand what it is that they went through, what it is that they actually sacrificed for us. Then we can appreciate them. Then we see how they are prosperous, how they achieve prosperity because they made those sacrifices. And the same way you make these sacrifices every day when you put on that uniform. Every day when you put those boots together and you tuck those strings and you make sure you're shaved if you're a male, if you don't have a religious accommodation, or if your hijab is straight. Every day you make this sacrifice. Every day you are exhibiting selfless service. Every day you are exhibiting the characteristic of al-idhar, or selflessness. So brothers and sisters, be encouraged. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك إبراهيم وعلى آل محمد وعلى آل إبراهيم وعلى بارك إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Brothers and sisters, dear believers, I want us to look at there's so in Islam there are numerous scholars that people look to for reference of information. There are tons of books on all types of subjects, and some are deemed to be more popular by others, and some have perspectives that some may not have heard of. But the way I always invite someone to look at something is that if it can benefit you, then let it benefit you. But if it does not benefit you, then let it go. But inshallah, I pray that this bit of information is beneficial because it speaks to this idea or this characteristic of al-idar, of being selfless or having selflessness. And so this is from Imam Ghazali, and he's a very well-known scholar in Islam. And I won't go into his historical background, but he's put out a lot of information that a lot of Muslims find to be beneficial in their life. So inshallah, I hope this is some benefit. So he lays out this idea of al-idar, and he gives it 3 levels or 3 grades. And so they go from the lowest to the highest. And so the first level, on this first level, it's to give your brother, or to give someone, and when I say brother, this could be male or female. It may be your brother, it may not be your brother, but this is the language that he uses. So if you give your brother what you would give to a servant, so we also have to look at things in context of when ideas were put out or positions were made. They may not be the same context that we have in 2021, but there was context for the statement at that time. So when we say, when you give your brother that which you would give a servant, or someone that is close to you, or someone that is someone that you have some kind of affiliation with. It may not be if you're a parent and this is your child, or this is a family member. So if the brother is not necessarily your kin. So this is, if you give anybody, maybe a stranger, something that you would give to your child, or something that you would give to a family member. So if you have food, you may share food with them. This is in context what this statement means. So this first level is giving someone a part of what you have. And it may be a leftover part. It may be something that you have used. It may be hand-me-down clothes. It may be some piece of equipment that you've used, but you're sharing with someone else. This is the first level of selflessness, giving your brother that which you would give to someone else. And so the second level of this al-idar, of this selflessness, is to treat him like yourself. And it is to, you give this person that which you would give yourself. So in this instance, if it's something that I would give myself, like if it's the shirt off my back, or if I go to the store and I see something that I want to buy, then I'm gonna buy it for myself. If I am getting food and this person is hungry, the same thing I buy for myself, I'm going to buy for this individual. So this is the second level of selflessness, where I am giving someone something that I would give myself. If I would give myself a peaceful environment, then I would give them a peaceful environment. So this is the second level of selflessness, or al-idar. And this third level of al-idar, it is to prefer this person above yourself. It's to provide their needs before yours. It's like children. It's like the mother with the child. It's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to sacrifice the things that I have, who I am, for you, or for someone else. I'm going to possibly sacrifice my life for this nation, or for my battle buddy, so that they can feel freedom. I'm going to sacrifice the things that I have for someone else. I may have to be hungry today so that someone else can eat. If I'm a leader, I may have to take the heat for somebody else. I may have to show selflessness. I may have to stand up and say that I'm accountable for these actions. Hold me accountable, because I'm the leader here. This is selflessness. This is that highest level of al-idar. So the first one is to give to your brother that which you would give to someone else, like something that may have been used, something that may not have the same value that it once had. The second level is to give this person what you would give yourself. If I get a new uniform, you get a new uniform. If I'm going to eat Chick-fil-A, you're going to eat Chick-fil-A. If I get a new prayer rug, you're going to get a new prayer rug. This is that second level of selflessness. And the third and the highest level, according to Ghazali, Imam Ghazali, is that I'm going to prefer you over myself. So if I have to take a little heat, so be it. But as long as you're protected. If I have to stand out there because maybe I'm the brave one, maybe I'm the one with courage, so be it. This is al-idar. And we see this idea of selfless service in our religion. And we see this idea of al-idar practiced in our military every day. We see it in our subordinates, we see it in our peers, and we see it in our leaders. And alhamdulillah, those that don't even know it are living according to the sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They are exhibiting that they are people of faith because they wish for their brother what they wish for themselves. Brothers and sisters, dear believers, let's continue to practice selflessness. Let's continue along the lines of this idea of selfless service. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك وأمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.